I was looking at X during the break there, and remember someone brought up this fact. Remember during the holidays when Tim Walz, the fantastic governor of the fantastic state of Minnesota, remember when he was trying to scare people by saying ICE, during the holidays, ICE was going to raid church services to try to apprehend and kidnap your neighbors and friends. Remember that? Well, what did we see today? Don Lemon in a church with a bunch of these agitators, vandals, criminals, protesters, disrupting a church service. How about that? What happened there, Tim Walz? We didn't hear one instance where ICE was going into churches to do their job. But these morons and thugs that are going around protesting, a church isn't sacred to them. They don't care. How about a mosque next? They should try that. How about that, Don Lemon? Walk in there with some agitators into a mosque. See how that works out for you. Also, I was listening to a clip of Commander Greg Bovino. He is your commander of the Border Patrol. Love this guy. Love this guy. He doesn't care what these idiots are saying. He's got a job to do, and he's doing it. And he was doing a little interview there, and he's talking about how civilian vehicles are being destroyed by these agitators. They're people that are driving around because they can look, the left, these idiots can look at people in cars and they instantly know if they're ICE or law enforcement or right-wing people, whatever it is. And then they vandalize the vehicles, break the windows, try to get the people out of the vehicles, steal their goods. A guy, a very popular YouTuber had his camera stolen, $1,000 camera. This idiot just reached in, grabbed his camera, and ran off with it, a Somali woman. And don't ask me how they knew she was a Somali woman. Stop. He saw a giant light bulb head running down the street. So that's what's going on. And Greg Bovino also says hotel guests are having their cars destroyed. If there's a rumor or someone comes up with some intel into their little cosplay army that ICE agents are staying at a hotel, they proceed to destroy every car in the parking lot. That's what they do. They are destructive and violent. These aren't peaceful protests. These are violent psychopaths that are out on the streets with the support of the politicians and the mainstream media. How does that make you feel, America? They're supporting psychos that are going around destroying property at the very least. Hopefully that's it. They're assaulting people to no end. And they run around pointing at people and pointing their phone cameras at people and yelling, "Are you ICE? Are you ICE? You're ICE. You're law enforcement." And then they call their enemies fascists. What are you doing? What are you doing? I know you. You must be the enemy. I'll point him out and call over my minion because you look like. It really reminded me of that scene in Schindler's List, that little girl. Goodbye, Jew. Goodbye, Jews. That's how they're acting. That's exactly how they're acting. You're ICE. Guy's like, nah, I'm an electrical engineer. That's it. Don't care. Wreck your car, punch you in the face. They're psychos. But, we have to support them because it's the First Amendment, and they're fighting against tyranny. And unbelievable. If you live in Maryland, congratulations. You have a senator named Chris Van Hollen. I know. Every time I see his name. Ain't talking about love, right? Might as well jump. Chris Van Hollen. He's defending the violent rioters, calling them peaceful. These are blatant lies. They are lying. There's no other, you can't come up with another scenario. They're lying to you. They need illegals to vote for them or their party goes away. So they lie. And here's Chris Van Hollen talking about the violent rioters, calling them peaceful. Let's listen.
What's happening right now is the ICE agents are the ones breaking the law, not the peaceful protesters.
Oh.
So I believe we should not be funding an ICE operation that is completely lawless.
How is it lawless? Can somebody really realistically and concisely, not emotionally, tell us how it's illegal? If it was, it would be stopped. Trump doesn't have the power to just unleash troops on a city, regardless of what people say. And unfortunately so. Trump is the worst dictator I've ever seen. Ever. Horrible dictator. These protesters should have been dispatched a long time ago. Where's our prisons, our gulags for political prisoners that say terrible things about the dictator? We saw it with the last administration. We saw thousands of people that trespassed on the Capitol and did some light vandalism. We saw them put in the gulag for sentences of 20 years or more. That was very dictatorial. But what do we see? We're not seeing that. They're adhering to the laws. And every so often when an activist judge says that what he is doing is illegal, it gets kicked up to the Supreme Court, who then says, nope, it's legal. So in this land, it's illegal. Perhaps if the Democrats can pick some Supreme Court justices over the course of years and years and years, and they change their opinion on these things. But that's speculating and looking into the future. Right now, ICE is legitimate and legal in what they're doing. So for this Chris Van Hollen, and when the fence change, nothing's. Chris Van Hollen, when he says that they're peaceful and ICE is illegal, is ICE what are they? Are they vandalizing hotel parking lot cars because an ICE agent might be in there? They shot a woman, but she apparently was trying to kill one of them, or at least being so reckless that she needed to be dispatched before she inadvertently killed someone. Irregardless, it's kind of the same issue. But there they are. They just can't see what's right in front of them. Maryland, speaking of Maryland, Senator Chris Van Hollen, Maryland Democrats introduced the Icebreaker Act. This just broke, too. The Icebreaker Act of 2026. This is more insanity, more tyranny. That would prevent any ICE agent from ever becoming a Maryland cop, a state or local law enforcement in the state of Maryland. if they were formerly an ICE agent, they would not be able to become a cop in Maryland. How is that even allowed? How does anyone look at a policy like that and not think it's completely politically motivated? And they think it's fine. That's a win for them. They're introducing it. I'd like to see it pass. Maybe in the state of Maryland it might. You know, Maryland has some great cities in it, like Baltimore. How about you get an ICE agent in Baltimore, on the Baltimore Police Department, that isn't willing to stand there and take all the crap that Baltimore cops have to take from the indigenous population. It's not a nice place. You ever take the train, the Acela, from New York to D.C. or D.C. to New York, and you go through Baltimore, and you look out the window, and you're just like, oh, I hope we don't get a flat tire. It's a train, I understand. But terrible place. And why? Because of the politicians and the police chief and their lack of any interest in reining in the criminal element in Baltimore. So sorry, Baltimore PD, you won't get an ICE agent to be a cop in Baltimore or anywhere else in Maryland if the Maryland Democrats and people like Chris Van Hollen have it their way. All right, we will be back in a minute. Please don't go anywhere. I just saw that, speaking about this church invasion, these protesters, they're psychos. They're psychopathic, violent agitators, not protesters. And they went into a church, and conservatives are calling for the arrest of this anti-ICE psycho who stormed into a Minneapolis church and intimidated Christians. He's wearing an Trump hat, and he goes, he's a white dude. He looks like a dumb hippie, big beard. Looks like a guy that might be on The Deadliest Catch when they finally come in after a few months. But I'm sure this guy doesn't work. He goes, you do nothing for your Somali brothers. And they're trying to get him out of the church. He goes, touch me again and see what happens, fake Christian. They always try to present Christians with this conundrum, with this paradox, this puzzle, where it's like Jesus would let these people in. If you were really a Christian, you wouldn't be trying to tear families apart and deport people. Shut up. Because you're a Christian, you should condone the destruction of your country? It's already gone too far. It's already gone too far. But that's their way of, I gotcha. Oh, you're supposed to let in every piece of garbage from every piece of garbage country till they destroy you, till they, invade your church. You want to worship as a Christian? This guy's telling you, well, you should allow anyone in. If you're Christian, you would do that. Why? So they could just walk into your church and beat you up, throw you out, turn it into a mosque, burn it down, whatever it is? These people got to go. There needs to be some real consequence to their actions. Honestly, it's just gone way too far at this point. Way too far. Joaquin, Pennsylvania. What's up, man?
Good Sunday evening to you there, Mr. Cunha.
Thank you, sir.
Judeo-Christian Western civilization white boy, why don't you just sit down, shut up, and allow yourself to be conquered? Is exactly what these people are thinking.
Yeah, that's what they're thinking. I mean, they're seeing it right before their eyes. People laugh about this minority white America. They talk about the Great Replacement like it's this conspiracy theory. And then you have all these liberal magazines and online platforms and mainstream media news talking about that very thing, that it is happening and people should be happy about it. No. And that if you aren't happy about it, you're some type of racist or xenophobe or whatever. They're conquering America. It's being conquered right in front of your face, and you're smiling about it and chastising people that aren't cheering it on.
You know, I follow this guy in Australia. He's a veteran down there.
Stop following me, mate.
Guy
Just trying to go to work. Sorry. Anyway.
No, that's okay. And you know something? He's talking about how, you know, Australia is being destroyed and conquered. And right now, he just posted a video, and he looked pretty concerned that, you know, the prime minister, whoever, is trying to pass legislation to go after any kind of hate speech that's been posted online. And he wants to go back 5 years on your posts, you know. And, you know, you look at this gentleman, like I say, he's a big, tough guy, you know, and he's looking pretty concerned. And this is what's happening. And right now, America just needs to take a look across the pond over at France and England and all these countries.
Oh, yeah.
They are no longer France and England. They're not French. They're not British. And, you know, Western civilization, white Western civilization actually did, for the most part, conquer the world. And that every place is one that left a better place than it was before. And there's a lot of people, you know, online. And this is really not a racial thing because Americans are Americans. But, you know, we have to have an educational system that teaches you to love this country and to appreciate what it's done for everyone. And the fact of the matter is that, yes, we should be only allowing a certain, you know, percentage of people so that we don't change the culture of the country.
And there's got to be, Joaquin, there's got to be a criteria for people that come to this country. They have to check a few boxes off. They can't just be these mud pirates from Somalia. Sorry.
Right.
It just doesn't. They're not a nation of people that have contributed to the world, to the greater good of the world. They're not. Maybe in a few thousand years, but right now it's just not happening. Why the hell do we want that element brought over here? It's not going to help us. It's going to be a burden. It's going to increase crime. We're going to have to spend money to feed and house and clothe these people that seem to be able to reproduce at an alarming rate. And why would we bring that here? Votes.
Right.
That's all it is. It comes down to votes.
And, you know, I would get even tougher, unfortunately. I would expand the federal authorities. I don't know if we need U.S. Marshals or whatever, but I would have a federal towing operation, and anybody that blocks roads or does anything with their vehicle that's a crime, you tow it, just as if you're getting arrested for a DWI. And then you got to pay to get it out of impound. You got to pay the towing fee, you know, aside from all the other hassles that you're going to find.
I love it. I love it because, look, I've watched a lot of videos of people get pulled over with a suspended license. They don't have insurance on the vehicle. And then they're like, oh, well, I live right down the street. Can I drive home? They go, you can't drive an uninsured vehicle and your license is suspended. We're towing the vehicle. How come they'll tow it for that? And then they won't tow your vehicle for using it to directly interfere with federal law enforcement. Put it on the hook and drag it away. That's what I say. Joaquin, thank you, my friend. Yeah, we don't need it. We don't need people like that to just get off the hook. Put them on the hook. This was going to be the clown of the week. Let me see. 28, 29. Yeah, I might be able to do it. Let's play Bruce Springsteen. He's, he's up there doing his music. I'm doing my music. And it's all anti-ICE, the usual suspect, the usual diatribe. Let's listen to Springsteen. Oh, which one? I thought I had that one. Let's punch it out.
Believe in the power of the law and that no one stands above it.
There are a couple of bad words in there. Yeah, he's like, murder on the streets. Wah, wah, wah. Wendy, they're going down the turnpike and they're murdering people in Asbury Park. Oh, God, what a buffoon. I mean, another one. He's a billionaire, Bruce Springsteen. And I guarantee you he has used every bit of resource he has to live nowhere near illegal immigrants, nowhere near minorities. I guarantee it. The palatial mansion, the estate that Bruce Springsteen lives on isn't anywhere near an illegal. What's ICE doing there? Yeah. Whoa. Well, I got the ICE and they're arresting people and I can't believe it. Hey, tell them, Wendy. I cannot stand Bruce Springsteen, if you hadn't noticed. But another hypocrite, telling everyone how and where they should live and who should live around them. And he's in his palatial mansion high on the mountain. All right, back in a flash. Stick around. Maryland, you had your Van Hollen. Michigan has to be embarrassed to holy hell for Shri Thanedar. This guy, when he pops up on any video I'm watching, the first thing I do is laugh. I laugh at this guy. How did you do it, Michigan? How did you elect this guy as one of your representatives? Shri Thanedar. He's the Indian guy. He always seems to have this perpetual dumb-ass smile on his face. I didn't know he was 70 years old or something. He's like an old guy. He don't look that old, but who can tell? Maybe it's that wonderful Indian street food like they make in Delhi or Bangladesh. I don't know. But anytime you see him talking, he's talking about banning ICE or impeaching Trump or impeaching anybody, any person on Trump's administration. And he's a dummy. This was not what the founding fathers would have liked to have seen. Someone from a foreign country doesn't really get America sitting in a seat of power. I don't think that was really supposed to happen. I think they thought it was so out of the question and out of the realm of possibility that they felt they never even had to write it down. Like they didn't even have to say, like, oh, let's write that foreigners who barely speak English, who don't really understand our way of life, shouldn't be able to hold seats of power here in the United States. But, whoops, mistake made. So here is Democrat Michigan, the proud state of Michigan, Democrat Representative Shri Thanedar. That's a Star Wars name. He's introducing a bill to ban ICE. Let's listen.
And we must reform ICE. But it looks at this stage, folks, ICE is beyond reform. Oh. ICE is totally out of control. And this week, I intend to introduce a bill to abolish ICE. We need to make ICE go away.
Melt
2003. Before 2003, without ICE, various federal agencies were able to take care of business, and we can do this without ICE. But we do not need the murderers. We do not need these paramilitary organizations, members on our street.
Yeah, we do. Apparently we do. There's illegals. I do not like the ice. I don't like iced tea, ice cube, vanilla ice. All ice go. What the hell? What? This guy is a representative. Who does he represent in Michigan? Well, I'm sure like Dearborn, Michigan. Maybe. No, that's mostly Islam. So I don't know what this guy's doing, but wow. They laugh at him, right? In D.C., when he goes there and he's got to get together with other state reps, and they laugh at him. They point and chuckle and go, that guy. Hey, I heard about your new proposal. Ban ICE, huh? Yes. What? And then everything he does, everything he comes up with, never even gets off the ground. It doesn't even come close to getting off the ground. And that's his gig. That's his gig. Good for him. Good for Michigan. Oh, my God. I can't even that you guys did that. This is a cute little story. Baby was tear gassed in a car driving through the violent ICE protests. And who do they blame it on? ICE. They blame it on ICE. There's been a couple of instances I've seen where parents have taken their kids to these protests, have driven into an area where ICE is conducting an operation. They're doing their job. They are armed with rifles and pistols. And these women, for the most part, bring their kids. I saw one, I swear to you, a 6-year-old boy was left in the car, parked maybe 5 car lengths away from an ICE operation. And the woman gets out with her phone. What are you doing? Where's your warrant? And they're going, you got to get out of here. Step back. They ask, where's your car? She goes, it's right there. Well, you need to stand away from what we're doing. Stand by your car, they said. And then they follow her and they look in and go, there's a child in here. Yes, that's my son. And this woman, ICE agent, just started laying into her. Are you out of your mind? What in your insane mind would make you take your 6-year-old child to a law enforcement operation? We are apprehending somebody. No one knows what's going to happen, hence the rifles, pistols, tear gas, everything else. And you think that's a great place to bring your kid? She should have been arrested right there. The child should have been sent to Child Protective Services, and the car should have been towed and impounded. That's how that should have ended. But I'm sure she was able to get into a car and drive away with her kids and talk about how awful the ICE agents were that she confronted so bravely. Can you even? So the latest thing was that ICE fired tear gas because there's a riot going on, and a car full of kids, they were coming back from one of the kids' football games, was caught in the middle of this cloud of tear gas. I don't know. It sounds a little dodgy to me. But here's what was said. A mother in Minneapolis rushed to perform CPR on her 6-month-old baby on Wednesday night after federal immigration agents deployed a flashbang and a chemical agent near her car. You think they shot it at the car? Or you drove down a roadway where there were ICE agents conducting an operation? Chemical agent in New York, leading to several members of the family to be taken to the hospital. The Jackson family, really? Tito's eyes were burning and Jermaine couldn't breathe. The Jackson family told the news outlet they were coming home from their son's basketball game. Oh, basketball. when they got stuck between protesters and immigration agents, unable to drive away. How? These protests, these riots, are very apparent. I'd be very surprised if you could accidentally turn a corner and you're involved in a riot where tear gas is being fired. They were unable to drive away. That's when, according to the family, their car began filling with a chemical irritant. All of a sudden, we heard boom, and every airbag deployed. That's an interesting thing to have happen. I am from the school of thought where some type of impact on the vehicle needs to happen in order for the airbags to go off. But I don't know. We'll check that. Destiny Jackson, the mother, told the news. She recalled screaming for her children to get out of the car and hearing them say that they couldn't maneuver out and couldn't breathe. They learn young with that I can't breathe thing. She was screaming to get her kids out of the car. And then my baby was lifeless, had foam around his mouth, tears coming out of his eyes. It is tear gas. That's tear gas, all right. I was giving him mouth to mouth, and I remember stopping and saying, I will give you all my breath till you get yours back. Several members of the family were taken to the hospital. Destiny called the incident very traumatizing. Here we go now. Here's the kicker. Here's the part I was waiting for. Destiny Jackson called the incident very traumatizing in a GoFundMe post. Well, we all know that when you drive into a riot and tear gas gets into your car, the first thing you do is set up that GoFundMe post. It's the ghetto lotto. Writing that never in a million years would I have thought something like this would happen to me and my family. Yeah, never in a million years did I think I'd win the lottery. In an ex-post that appears to have been taken down, DHS, Department of Homeland Security, appeared to blame Jackson family for their hospitalization. It's horrific to see radical agitators bring children to their violent riots. Adding, please stop endangering your children. Yeah. Stop endangering your kids. That's what is happening here. I find it hard to believe you inadvertently drove into a riot. I don't know how that happens. What was it, Reginald Denny back in the L.A. riots? He was a dummy for getting out of the vehicle, but, they inadvertently drove into this, and then, lo and behold, there's a GoFundMe. Oh, boy. Come on. The other part of it, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. They accept all the other benefits we give them, the benefit of the doubt, and say that's exactly what happened. How did it happen? Why? I thought Jacob Frey and Tim Walz were protecting the citizens. I thought the 600 police officers in Minneapolis protect the people. How could someone inadvertently drive into a riot? Wouldn't the local police and the state police have set up roadblocks to keep that from happening? Why weren't there street closures and cops there to say, no, go around, go this way, there's a detour? Wouldn't you think that would be the problem if they did indeed inadvertently drive into a riot, that no cops were around to divert them from catastrophe? And that is Jacob Frey and Tim Walz. That is their order. They told their police departments not to get involved with ICE. They did not want their police officers to look like they were telling the public, the citizens, to go away, to stop rioting, to divert traffic from violent protesters. Can't have that. So we won't show up. And then families can drive right in the middle of it. And we can blame who? ICE. ICE is firing tear gas at violent agitators. And because the cops aren't there to tell people not to drive into it, people drove into it. That's what happened. So knock it off with it's ICE. ICE is tear gassing children. What a fake way to say what actually happened. What an agenda-driven way to say there should have been cops there, but weren't. Sean, Carl River, what's up? Sean.
Oh, hi, Sean. This is Sean.
Hi, Sean.
I'm sorry about that, but listen, this is all a folly. Because if you don't stop legal immigration, which built the Democratic Party into a communist party, you're doomed anyway. If you look at these big cities, I mean, just come here legally. You know, you ever see Tampa Bay is becoming Islamic? Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas, San Diego, where the two Saudi Arabians helped the 9/11 attackers. New York is finished, 85% legal immigrants. So, you know something, but, you know, if you don't stop legal immigration, it's over. The only thing that saved this country was it was so big you could move away. Everybody would run. But let me leave it on a lighter note that you can fill up here. Bill Clinton was in contempt of Congress this week.
Yes.
He could go to jail. He could go to jail for that. If he goes to jail, he has to go to jail. Will he identify as a female so he could go to the female prison and walk around like a big rooster in there? I know Hillary will have to go.
All right. I like the accent, Steve. You've done a good job. How you doing? Thank you. It was funny, and maybe I'll actually answer his question. If Bill wears that blue dress like in the Epstein painting, perhaps. Yeah, they just decided they weren't going to pay attention to a court order to testify. They're the Clintons. They get away with anything. I'm sure the process server will be found dead from 28 suicidal stab wounds. Yeah. So anyway, the GoFundMe, I'll check that at some later date and find out how much money they want, what they want money for. I mean, what, a hospital bill, I guess, maybe? I don't know. Why would that be the first thing you think of if you get caught in a riot and your kid inhales some tear gas is, I got to set me up a GoFundMe. I don't know. Maybe. Got to get that money. Mm-hmm. It's beyond me how obvious it is, but how people refuse to see it. Not all people. Look, I have to believe that the majority of people that listen to this program see what's going on. And a lot of people that support what ICE is doing, they see what's going on and act accordingly. But these liberals, the protesters, the politicians, I believe the protesters are mostly useful idiots. They're useless, but they're useful idiots for the politicians. They do stupid things happen to them, and then the politicians can use it to further their agenda, just like that woman, Renee Good, that got shot. That is an ideal situation for the Democrats. You know, anyone else would look at that as tragic and it's terrible. Even if she is a blithering idiot, you wouldn't wish death on someone like that. The Democrats look at it as amazing, so positive. What a great thing for our side. They don't give a crap about that woman. They're just like, good, now we could call all of the ICE agents murderers because they've murdered someone, and they push it, and the media latches on and runs with the agenda and the nonsense. And the dumb, useful idiot protesters get out there and make a scene. And it's all blamed on Trump and ICE. We see it, though, don't we, people? I think we do. I think we're smart here in this little corner of the world. All right, back in a flash. I promise. I got one more thing that involves this whole Minnesota, ICE, Minneapolis, fray, walls, Trump, Border Patrol. There was so much to get to. And that's the curse of doing a once-a-week show. It's all that stuff that happens that you got to get to in one 3-hour program. But the third hour, I swear, we got plenty more to come. Of course, Rosie O'Donnell being an idiot, and Representative Latifah Simon. Simon, and there's plenty of other things to talk about. But I wanted to, another Jacob Frey. This guy has been all over the news. He is doing nothing but defending horrible, violent people. And this one is, he was asked about maybe setting aside a safe place for these protesters. And this makes sense. If you're protesting, all you want to do is convey in numbers what your take on something is, your displeasure with something, with your signs and your slogans, and the fact that there's so many people there sends a message that this is something that we want to get out to a lot of people. That's protesting. Anytime you start destroying stuff, interfering with federal law enforcement, stepping on other people's rights, it's no longer a protest. It is a criminal act not protected by the First Amendment. You are committing a crime. But they don't understand this. They're too stupid. The politicians do, but they're not going to say it. They want these dopes to show up and cause problems. So Jacob Frey was asked, how about it? How about a safe place where these protesters can be and not cause problems? And you would think protesters, not sending them to Antarctica, but here's a place in Minneapolis. Tell people you'll be there. Social media now, you got plenty of people to tell and a platform to tell people where you're going to be and what you're doing, so people show up. But no, they don't want that, because then they can't break stuff. They can't assault people. They can't interfere with law enforcement. That's what they want. They don't want to protest. They don't want what a protest is. They don't want to look at the definition of a protest, peaceful protest, and do that. They're violent psychos. They want to be violent psychos. So here's a Jacob Frey when he's asked about a safe place, perhaps, for protesters.
The Secretary specifically called on you to set up a safe zone where protests would be contained. Is that something you're looking at?
First Amendment speech is not limited to one park or one section of the city. You are allowed to protest so long as you're doing it peacefully. And by the way, we've got tens of thousands of people in Minneapolis that are grinning down the bear, that are peacefully expressing their First Amendment rights. So no, you can't have just one section of a city. That's not the way First Amendment works.
By the way, yeah, it is. A lot of times, if you want to assemble in number, you need a permit. A permit that is attached to a place. That's how it works a lot of time. By the way, that's how it works for anybody that wants to hold either a protest or a concert or a speech that's on the right. Any conservative that wants to do that, you better have a permit to do it. Or you'll be kicked out, disbanded, perhaps arrested if you don't go away. So they're full of crap. And it's not peaceful. And it's not the First Amendment to march around interfering with law enforcement, blocking roads, vandalizing buildings, and assaulting people. And that's what they're doing. I said it before, I'll say it again. Show me one video of peaceful protests going down in Minnesota. Show me. I have not seen it. I have not seen one peaceful protest. You're blocking traffic, it ain't peaceful. There you go. It's not peaceful. You're getting in front of people's cars, and then they start trying to move forward, and you yell and scream and hit the car. Stealing a guy's camera, breaking windows. Injuring somebody that has a different idea than you. Stabbing him in the head till he's bleeding in the freezing cold. Is that his idea of a peaceful protest that he won't relegate to a park? Yeah, if they're in a park, then maybe they'll be held accountable for what they're doing. Police will be there. There won't be ICE agents to interfere with. There won't be cars to block from getting to where they want to be. So, of course, they don't want to do that. Who would want to do that? That's not fun for a psycho, violent, lefty idiot. How could I do a protest in a park? I need to break things and upset people and break the law. That's what's going on. So enough. In a church? How about that? Not a park, but a church? Is that good? Is that good, Jacob? Go cry over another drug addict's golden coffin. All right. Don't go anywhere. Hey, it's everyone's favorite time when our good friend Steven Singer, the I Hate Steven Singer guy, announces his brand new gold-dipped rose color for Valentine's Day. That's right. This year's color is romantic, breathtaking, and unforgettable. Imagine you're on vacation with your sweetheart. You gaze into her eyes and see a beautiful sunset. You're in love. What if you could feel that every day? Or at least be reminded of that in-love sunset vacation feeling. You can with Steven Singer's brand new Sunset 24-karat gold-dipped rose. Picture it, a rose that's perfectly capturing the sunset hues, going from deep purple to vibrant pink, soft orange. There's nothing like it. Nothing like you've ever seen before. Steven's famous gold-dipped roses are real roses dipped in pure 24-karat gold, guaranteed to last a lifetime. They start at just $69. Steven Singer, he makes Valentine's Day shopping easy. The new Sunset Rose is only available at Steven Singer Jewelers. Get yours right now at IHateStevenSinger.com with fast and free shipping. Steven Singer Jewelers, that's IHateStevenSinger.com. Bless you for tuning in. Remember, well, I'll start off first. Remember that couple it was during the George Floyd riots, and the protesters then were walking down the streets and then going into certain neighborhoods. And it was a husband and wife, and they came out onto their front lawn with, looked like an AR-15, and the wife had a little pistol on her. And the media could not get enough of calling them racist, horrible people. This is the right wing, they're guns. Now, I'm seeing a bunch of instances on social media of people in Minneapolis, left wing, lefties, the lunatic agitators, and they're showing up with guns in public places, on the streets, and they're holding weapons. They're carrying them openly. And where's the media? Where are the people telling them they're terrible and that this will only spark violence? And I'm not hearing one thing about that. That man and his wife were on their own property, protecting their own property from rioters. And these guys are on the streets in Minneapolis threatening to shoot federal agents. And the liberals think that's much better than two people protecting their own home from rioters. All right. Just more hypocrisy. More hypocrisy out there on the part of the... Now, of course, they're all for the Second Amendment, aren't they? Again, when their ideology, when they feel their ideology is being challenged, disagreed with, then they're all about breaking out the guns. How about you start with a conversation first? How about that? There's no talking to them. You see it happen when these YouTube reporters, YouTube journalists go over and ask them a question. They'll start hitting them and calling them any vulgar name they could come up with. But, yeah, when federal agents are doing their job, getting rid of illegals in this country, now it's time to break out the weapons. When violent protesters were destroying property and robbing and assaulting and killing people, there were people murdered. Then having a gun is racist and terrible. All right. Just wanted to make sure I had it right. Well, I almost made Rosie O'Donnell Clown of the Week again this week, but she's gotten much too much attention during Clown of the Week here on this program. So I figured I'd just shove her in the third hour. How about that? So Rosie O'Donnell from Ireland, she's over in Ireland. She's ditched one of her adopted kids here in the United States because it was too much trouble. She was into drugs. She'd gotten in trouble with the law. And Rosie was like, this isn't fun anymore. I adopt kids for fun and to virtue signal to my comrades that I'm a great person that adopts kids because I can't have any because obviously that would entail sex with a gentleman. And good luck finding that, Rosie. So Rosie is over there. She's still got one kid, a non-binary child, of course. But she's over on the Emerald Isle, still bitching about America, Trump, the United States Constitution, Nazis. They love a good Nazi story. So Rosie, not being hyperbolic at all, says that the United States is just like 1930s Germany. Rosie?
And I'm very inspired by so many people speaking out. So many people just standing up and using their voice, even when others tell them not to.
Clam up.
That's what it's going to take. And you know, they always say, if you ever wondered what you would have done in Nazi Germany in the 30s, well, take a look at what you're doing now. You know, we're not overreacting. We're underreacting as a nation. And I think that's what they're counting on.
What's this we crap?
So go educate yourself about the realities of Epstein Island and the trafficking of children and the degrees with which they went to keep everyone in line.
Mm-hmm.
Horrific. Just horrific.
Oh, horrific. Oh, that's like when people say, Rosie, you look terrific. Oh, thank you. No, I said horrific. Yeah, it's just like 30s Germany. Again, the worst dictator, the worst Führer is Donald Trump. He's just terrible at being one of these Hitler, Stalin, Mussolini, Fidel Castro. He's not even close. People are actually allowed to voice their displeasure with him. How does that happen? They're allowed to interfere with the government and interfere with the police department. How does that work? I didn't think that was allowed. I thought you got sent off to the gulag for that. What happens? Occasionally, if you really cause a problem, they'll put some zip ties around your wrists, and you got to spend a couple of hours in a precinct building where they have to treat you like royalty until your buddies or parents come and get you out. Oh, wow. That is just like the old Soviet Union. My God, the atrocities. I mean, come on. The exaggeration. And who are acting like your stereotypical 30s Nazis? Huh? Who's running around busting stuff up, pointing at people and accusing them because of nothing more than the way they look? Who's doing that? You're an ICE agent. I do construction. That's an ICE vehicle. Let's destroy it. Who's more like 30s Nazi Germany? I know that's an evil person right there. Look at him. He looks like a law enforcement. He's got short hair. He's wearing a camo shirt. He's got a beard, like a chin beard. Oh my God, he's got to be Antifa. He's got to be ICE. Look at him. Look at his big nose and his. Oh wait, no wait, that was different. Look at his work boots. They're acting exactly like the people they're accusing ICE and ICE supporters and MAGA supporters, accusing of them being. You know, we're the Nazis. The head of the Border Patrol is a Nazi, but they're doing exactly what they say, Nazis are supposed to do. Oh, it's just, I don't know. How do we get rid of them? How do we just wrap this up? How do we put this in a nice little package, wrap it up, and end this nonsense already? This has been going on for years now. My God. I mean, it's relatively recent that people are starting to wake up to this. And a lot more people are calling out these lefty, violent nuts for what they are, and calling out the politicians for what they are, and the media and Hollywood. But I mean, when does it end? Can we ever get back to a cohesive nation where, even with different opinions and ideology, we have that core commonality of being Americans? Is that possible? I don't think so. I don't know. I think it'll take a cataclysmic event. Even 9/11 only worked for like 10 minutes. 9/11. Oh, everyone was driving around with American flags on their cars. Remember that? Everyone was American. And pretty soon the people that did this, they're going to know. They're going to see what, yeah, kick some ass. And then, like 2 weeks later, you started seeing the flags that were on the cars. They were in the gutter of the street, getting run over. People are yelling at people for cutting them off again. And we weren't even that divided before 9/11. We really weren't. Now we are so divided. I don't even think an event that would supposedly unite us as Americans, I don't even think that would work anymore. I think we would blame the other side for whatever cataclysm had happened. You know, if it's a natural disaster, the left would be saying it's because of climate change, and the right, didn't want to give money and the Paris Accord and everything. If it's a military thing from another country, it was Trump. Trump had gotten them all agitated with his Greenland stuff and this. And I don't see us going, wow. This is a real blow to America. And we as Americans finally have some common interest and common, some kind of common issue or problem or catastrophe that happened to unite us. I don't see it. So how do we wrap it up? I don't know. All right. Take that with you for a quick break and smile. And we'll be right back. And I saw a story about an app, a dating app. Now, I thank God I don't need to go on an app. I never did go on an app. I am from a time where you needed to walk up to a girl and start talking. If it was a good situation, it was someone introducing you. That at least gave you an opportunity and a reason to start chit-chatting. But I got to tell you, one of the hardest things in a man's life, especially early on, your teen years, 20s, was just cold walking up to a girl in a bar, at a ball game, wherever you are. Cold walking up and trying to start some conversation that she wouldn't laugh at, throw something at you, whatever it is. You have this very short window of opportunity to sound fun, semi-intelligent, compelling, and interest her in not going out, just interest her in actually standing there for just a few more minutes to see if you can screw this up. That was the old days. I miss it. But apps and other online dating stuff, even the ability to text. Texting is a cop-out, too. Because if you did get past the point where you got a girl's number, you had to call her and speak with her live as a human being. You couldn't text something that you had maybe thought of, robbed from someone else, send a pic or an emoji with it to denote sarcasm or something. You were on. You were live. And you had to sound, again, interesting, semi-intelligent. It was tough, gentlemen. Any guy that's listening that grew up around the same time I did knows exactly what I'm talking about. That was a tough game, man. Now there's dating apps, and some people, especially women, feel very, very entitled. They go on these apps and they put out demands for men that are so unrealistic, unreasonable, ridiculous. And there's a lot more men on these apps than women, especially Grindr. It's a gay site. So they're the commodity. They could set the rules. They set the price. But this sounds a lot like prostitution. You're a prostitute. Let's listen to her describe her app. She invented this, and let's see if we like this.
After I said I would require a deposit to take me on a date to cover my date preparation costs, I'm now working with an app developer to make this a reality. This is actually happening. We are building the app. I'm not even exaggerating when I tell you this is the best damn dating app you have ever seen, because there is a clear difference here where the woman can set the deposit rate and the man can pay for her date preparation costs. So as a woman, you're going to walk into the date already so happy, and that's going to lead to a better date and a better connection. And that gives the man a better chance of succeeding in courting you. The app is called Courted. So when people ask, how did you meet? You can say, he courted me. So cute. The website already looks absolutely stunning, and the app itself, incredible. All of the features are so unique and nothing like you've ever seen on any dating app. Oh, and to everyone who said you can't do that, guess what? I just did. So we are going to launch this city by city. And if you want early access, click the link in my bio and sign up. Let's make dating fun again. Love you.
Fun. Is that fun for a guy? Shelling out money before you even see the girl? Or before you even, go out? You'll see a filtered, reworked AI image of the girl, and now you're supposed to Venmo her some money or use the app there and send cash to the girl under this premise that, if I got this straight, her date preparation cost, is that it? Does that include an enema, honey? Oh! I need that clean. Oh, gosh. That is insane. And again, another one of these great 2026 things that we just have to be in a world that has this. The early apps were just pretty much a dating service. They used to have, what was it, computer dating. The technology of the 80s. It's computer dating. Or the 70s, they did it too. I don't know what kind of computer it was. We put two pictures on the screen and played Pong. Whichever the Pong ball went into, that's your date. So I don't know what computer dating was, but you gave them information. I still think it was just people reading profiles. Yeah, there you go. There's the sound of your computer date. It's coming in. She's beautiful. I don't know. I think it was just people sitting in a room with some profiles trying to match people up back in those days. And then it was video dating, which is hysterical. You used to have to go to a place, a storefront or in a mall, and they'd take you in the back, sit you down, get you all gussied up. You'd sit in front of a background that looked like school pictures, and then they'd roll video and you'd talk about yourself. And then people at the place would say, wow, that person has this kind of personality. Let me look at other videos of girls. And then the woman would have to show up at the place to watch the guy's video or vice versa. So they really had a hell of a time with that. You really had to be motivated or very, very lonely, I would think. There's a parody account out there where people are posting what is supposed to be 70s, 80s video dating service videos. They're fake. They put great filters on. They're written very good, very funny. But a lot of them were just disasters. Girls with the big hair and the New York accent. So I don't know. But now we have this where you are being asked to pay for the preparation to get ready. Like what? Hair, makeup, clothes. And I guess the more you pay, the more you'll get. So again, this sounds a lot like prostitution. There's really no difference. An escort site, hey, there's a picture of her. How much money do I have to give her? in order to guarantee that we'll have some sex. You ask the girl for sex. So there it is. Like I said, I miss with horror. I miss the old school step up, say something, have some confidence, or be funny in your lack of confidence that you have when you actually had a cold call on a girl. That was a nightmare. Now it's easy. How much for your hair and makeup? All right, take those clothes off. I paid for those clothes. Take them off now because I paid a good chunk of money for this date. It's kind of Sodom and Gomorrah-ish, isn't it? Don't we have this Sodom and Gomorrah vibe going these days? Oof, I don't know. All right, well, chew on that for a while. Back in moments. What's up, Robert?
Hi, Anthony.
There you are. How you doing?
Hi. This is more than an insurrection. It's an attempt to overthrow the United States of America by these commie subversives.
Yes, they are commies. The whole Democrat Party has embraced communism. Look at Mamdani. Look at a lot of other mayors, even state representatives that embrace communism.
There are laws that can be passed to help stop the situation and prevent maybe our country from being taken over. For
Unfortunately,
example,
the laws have to be passed through some of the very people that want this country to become communist.
we have a chance with the majority in Congress now.
Mm-hmm.
And the Senate.
I hope so.
Any person who
Bob.
wants to hold an elective office must be a U.S. born citizen.
I love it.
Okay.
We got to do that.
That all voter rolls must be inspected, and any person on it not a U.S. citizen must be immediately removed.
Mm-hmm.
Any dead person found on the roll must be immediately removed.
Yeah.
Any person not in the district must be immediately removed. We have to clean up the voting, at least at a minimum like that. So maybe we have a better chance.
Imagine how they would say that is xenophobic, racist. You're being this terrible, terrible person when all it would do is ensure that we have legitimate elections in this country. And the part about being an American citizen to run for office, yes, absolutely. And I mean a natural American citizen, not somebody that came from another place. If you get married and have kids and they're born here, they can run for office. But just like the president of the United States can't be foreign born, why should other people in positions of power that, by the way, especially at the state level, have a lot more power than the president does? Why can they be from anywhere, any crap hole on this planet, come here and start legislating that laws that are so anti-American that it destroys what we're about? I don't get it.
Yes, our forefathers never envisioned the situation that's going on today.
Not even close. They couldn't have fathomed that many people from horrible, horrible countries could have the potential to come here. Who's going to bring them over? I don't know. It just wasn't, now we have air travel. There are motor vehicles, boats. People are coming here at an amazing rate, and they never could have foreseen that it outpaced reproduction in this country.
Yes. Also have voter ID in all 50 states and U.S. territories.
Yes. Well, you're a terrible person, Robert, per the Democrats and the liberals. You are a racist, and you just don't want people to vote, people that they care about. You don't want them to vote. What a horrible person. Robert, thank you so much. Get North Carolina a little cleaned up. All right?
I've tried. I voted my first election 2 years ago, and I'm going to vote again this one.
Good man.
And everyone after that.
I hear you. We got to at least try, right? Thank you, bro. There you go. Yeah. What else can we do right now? The lunatics are out there. We see it. And there doesn't seem to be much recourse. You would think sensible people would kind of come out in the lead here, but oh my God. Let's listen to Democrat Representative Latifah Simon. Latifah. She calls out Republicans for something that I wouldn't. I guess she's of the school of thought, and there are a few other people, politicians, public figures, that I have seen that do not want people quoting the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Yeah. If you quote him in a social media post or a speech, you get his name out your mouth where your Latifahs reside. She doesn't want you using any quotes from Martin Luther King. Let's hear it from Latifah Simon.
I want to be clear that 4 out of the 5 of you last year posted on your social media the words of Dr. King. And there are so few folks who actually have studied, who are clear on the theology of freedom of King. Very few of you have read and studied and have sat in Ebenezer Baptist Church. So I would ask you, you keep Dr. King's name out of your mouth. Woo! If you, like me and the many scholars who will be watching, studied King, you know that he and the mothers and the fathers of the civil rights movement and of the movement for emancipation not only would be struck by the conversations in this room, but would be shattered by the consequence of lies, of hatred, of abuse of this administration in the name of folks who worked to make this country more free. Children of Abraham, for real. I want to be clear for the young people that are listening today here in this audience, this conversation is not about an acronym. It's just not.
The unbelievable balls on this one. She's telling people, unless you are a scholar in MLK, unless you have participated and walked on the bridges and entered the malt shops where black people were not allowed to sit at the counter, and then you cannot speak of Martin Luther King, and you can't quote his words. Now, I don't know Martin Luther King as a person. I don't know what he was all about. I've heard things. But one thing I don't think he would have minded were people bringing up his quotes in conversation. She goes, if you're having a conversation about something, you can't have Martin Luther King's words in your mouth. Why? That doesn't seem to jibe with anything that a civil rights activist would. She is using Martin Luther King in a way that I believe would be much more upsetting to Martin Luther King than white people, Republicans, using his quotes in their posts. They're not stealing his words. They're not plagiarizing him. They're giving him full credit. Do you think Martin Luther King would be more upset of that happening or some woman saying that you can't speak his words? Because what? You haven't suffered the oppression? You haven't seen the civil rights movement from its inception with your own eyes? What a stupid comment. Get them words out your mouth. I have a dream that this woman would shut the hell up. I've seen the mountaintop, and I could still hear her yelling from the top of the mountain. What a dope. Martin Luther King's, what is it? Martin Luther King Day. It's tomorrow. Isn't it? Yep. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes, I don't know, it's usually the birthday, right? MLK Day. I'm popping it up, make sure. Yep, January 19th. Uh-huh. Is that his birthday? Or did they just pick a day? Martin Luther King. The Martin Luther King. Let me see. January 10th, Martin Luther King's. Officially birthday Martin Luther King Jr., often referred to shorthand as MLK Day. All right, so it's his birthday. Because sometimes, do they ever pay tribute to someone on the day they died? If it's your day, I think it's your birthday. So, yeah, tomorrow, Martin Luther King Day. What does that mean? Is the stock market closed? Oh, boy. I hope not. Observance. Let's see. Overall, as of 2019, 40% of employers gave employees the day off. All right. National Day of Service started Pennsylvania. Since 1994, the Day of Service has been, I guess that's a whole different thing. Speeches. It's all over the country. So what's closed? I gotta look. Don't fret, people. I'm looking it up. Martin Luther King Day closures. Here it is. Federal, state, local government offices, post offices, no mail, banks, and the stock market. While many retail stores, grocery stores, pharmacies, and some trash services. What about liquor stores and pawn shops? Oh, Anthony. Don't be like that. Oh, man. Okay. Well, and I hope this year that there isn't some broadcaster, some weatherman that does not know that tomorrow he will be fired from his job because he tripped up trying to say Happy Martin Luther King Day. It's happened. They mix up the L with the C. They say things. It comes out very, very bad, very racist. And then they try to apologize. It doesn't work. A slip of the tongue. Best just not say it. Or if you do, say MLK. You try to say that name, the Luther and the King can really trip up a weatherman or one of the sports people on local TV or radio. And before you know it, you've said something terrible. And you are being handed your walking papers. So let's not do that. Well, there you go. That was Latifah Simon. Let's see. There was one other thing I wanted to get to here before the last break. Where was it? And now I can't find it. Okay. Oh, there it is. Minneapolis police chief. One more, and then I'll get into the mother of a daughter who is one of 4 people in her math class that could speak English. Is another thing we're dealing with. But first, here's a Minneapolis police chief, And he says he will not assist ICE. This is that guy. I think it's the crybaby, right? It's the same guy that was crying when he was talking about the Venezuelan gang members being thrown in jail. And he started crying. You're the police chief, for God's sake. And he's weeping openly. This is clip AC10 for you at the studio, and let's give it a listen.
The Minneapolis Police Department is committed to honoring the human dignity of every person in our community. The Minneapolis Police Department does not participate in immigration enforcement. We do not care and do not ask people about immigration status. People in our community need to know that they can feel confident that when they need help, they can call 911, and we will show up for everyone, and not be afraid to call because they think we might turn them over for some civil immigration violation. That's not our job. Our mission is to keep everyone in this town safe, and we cannot accomplish that if a huge segment of this community is too scared to call us when they need help, because that makes everyone less safe.
Don't you think if a huge segment of your population is afraid of ICE deporting them, that a huge segment of your population are there illegally? Doesn't that kind of add up, Mr. Police Chief? Doesn't that figure? No? You're not going to work with ICE in immigration enforcement? All right. I could see that. You're not an immigration law enforcement agency. But like I said earlier, maybe you can get in there to make sure people aren't driving into riots. Make sure the rioters aren't destroying things and assaulting people. How about that? That's not working with ICE. That's protecting your communities like you said you wanted to do. But again, they don't care. That's not what it's all about. And Minneapolis, if Minneapolis, Minnesota has proven one thing, it's that everyone in charge of everything in Minneapolis is in on this fraud scheme. All the different fraud schemes going on, the illegal voting, all of the garbage, the corruption going on in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and perhaps the whole state is sanctioned, endorsed, and perpetrated by the leadership, the politicians, the police chief. Everyone's hands are filthy with this. And they make it so obvious by their unwavering defense of stuff that is so blatantly wrong, so obviously illegal and wrong. We want the illegals kicked out. We want the fraud and corruption to stop. And they will get out in public. They will get on a microphone behind a podium and say how awful it is what ICE is doing. It's like they have guns to their heads. They're so entrenched in the corruption and fraud and the voter nonsense, the illegals, all of it. They're so entrenched. It's wrapped around them that they have no other choice than to lie right to your face, right up until the moment that hopefully they are removed, indicted, convicted, and sentenced. Look, I'm not a naive person. I don't see that actually happening, unfortunately. But it's the only way to deal with what's been going on. I mean, can you think of any other reason that every single person of any note in Minneapolis, Minnesota is on the wrong side of the law on all of this? The only logical explanation is that they are all tied up in it. And hopefully that all comes out in the wash. All right, back in a minute. Let's go to the phones. Linda from Jersey. How you doing, Linda?
Hi. Yeah.
Hi. How's that Cory Booker working out for you in Jersey? He's great, huh?
When they say call your representatives, you know what I say.
Yeah, what a tool. Anyway, what do you got there, Linda?
Yeah, well, I'd like to say that the insurrectionists are fighting the police. They're fighting ICE. They're breaking into cars. They're banging down the hotels that they think that ICE are in. So this is like the LA riots, and I'm wondering, why isn't Trump putting in his own National Guard or calling in the Army? He is way overdue. This is so out of control. This should have been done yesterday.
Maybe, I think so too, and a lot of people are being very critical of Trump, as am I. I want something done immediately. And maybe logistically, they got to figure it out. It's not like you could just drop people in without a plan. But I would like to see it sooner than later. I still have faith that it will happen. And the National Guard is needed there. This is necessary. They want to make it sound like that the citizens need protection from ICE. ICE needs protection from these protesters. And citizens need protection from these protesters, agitators, communists, troublemakers, arsonists, whatever you want to call them. But there's a situation here, though, where if Trump does put the National Guard in, he's going to have to, like the Venezuelan operation, it's going to have to go off without a hitch. He can't give them any fuel with some unnecessary deaths or some kind of a cluster F happening. So maybe they're just making sure logistically that every duck is in order before they pull the trigger.
Well, I hope that Trump can handle Minneapolis before he takes Greenland. I mean, something a little closer to home, right, and more immediate.
I think Greenland would be easier to take than
think so, too.
Minneapolis, honestly. What are there, a few, Eskimos up there?
Excuse me?
Were there a few Eskimos up there in Greenland?
I think so, a few.
I think that's it, yeah.
Yeah.
They probably love being Americans. All right, Linda, thank you so much for the call. I wanted to get to this mom. Her daughter is in a math class, and she is one of 4 students in this math class, I assume, 30 kids, who speak English. The vast, vast majority of the class do not speak English, and the mother has concerns, very valid concerns, that her kid will not be able to learn math because the teachers are going to be so preoccupied with the fact that the kids don't speak English. Here's the mom.
I'm about to ask what I'm not supposed to ask.
No, you are.
Why is one of my children in a class where she's one of 4 kids that speaks English in math, and she doesn't get to learn math because there's 20 plus other kids who don't know English, and the teacher has to accommodate them? And I'm not blaming the teacher. I actually feel really bad for the teachers. Why? Why am I paying property taxes? Why am I paying income tax? Why am I paying taxes for anything for my children to have the right to a free and public education, which, by the way, they constantly are trying to take the ability for us to homeschool and all that stuff away to make them go to public school. But then when they go to public school, this is what they get. You don't get to learn math because you know English, so you just don't get to learn math. What?
Yeah. When Trump, I guess he's trying, or he did something to get English as the national language. This is how it's supposed to be. America is an English language country. It's not racist to say that. It's not something where it's like, oh, no, the diversity, the different languages. Oh, it adds such character to, you know what it does to that girl in that class with 4 other kids that speak English, the rest of them don't? It inhibits the ability for her to learn and for the teachers to teach. If the teacher has to try to interpret the language and then try to teach math interpretation, how are the kids that speak English going to benefit from this? It's just taking away from the kids' ability to learn and the teacher's ability to teach. If you want, first thing, get all the kids that don't speak English into a class and teach them English, as all the other kids are learning math and science and social studies or whatever they're doing these days. Every other kid is learning. And then once these kids become proficient in English, then they can go to the other classes. It's a hindrance to young kids who speak English, have spoken English their whole lives, or kids that came here and learned English over the course of years, and they could speak English. Put them in the class, fine. But if you can't speak English, how the hell is that going to be a classroom of kids that are being taught math when they're trying to figure out what the hell the teacher's saying and the teacher's trying to figure out what the kids are saying? It's terrible. And that's where we are. All right, people, thank you for tuning in, the Anthony Cumia Show. We're here every Sunday. Anthony Cumia on X. That's my X account if you want to get in touch with me. And look, maybe next week things will be better. We'll have a light, fun show and things to talk about. We'll see you then.